welcome to the Matter About You podcast. I'm your host Madeline, and I don't know what number this is, so yeah. Alright, well, it's been about 5 months I think since I recorded last, and that's because I have been away for work. So I guess now that I'm back I can tell you where I went, so we might do a little bit of that later, but I'm not sure when this will go up, if it does at all. But whilst I've got kind of everything around, I thought I would show you what I've got, and then this episode might end up being like a compilation of a few different clips put together. Oh, my nose is so itchy. So yeah, anyway, we'll get on with yeah. Alright, let's talk finished objects, because I have a couple. But yeah, before I left I was working on the Marinda wrap, which is a pattern by Amber O'Brien, and it's a Marinda shawl actually. So this has been washed and blocked. I just haven't actually reworked, like I did the ends as I went, and I just need to finish sewing them in so I can cut them, but this is it. It's a massive shawl, but I really like it. I'm really happy with the colours. So the yarn was, if you can see, so the blue was a Nanabar Yarns, and she's not dyeing yarn anymore at the moment. The silver is a Madeline Tosh, and the pink is the Dove colourway by Circus Tonic Handmade, and that was a merino single. So yeah, it looks a bit silly because it's still got those ends attached, but I'm really happy with the contrast of the colours. Yeah, it's not really been cold enough to need to wear it, so that's kind of delayed my sewing in of the ends. So I wove them in as I knit them in as I went, but I think I just want to double back and just make sure that they're fully secure before I cut them off. So that's my first finished object. My next finished object is a pair of socks that I've been knitting on for, well, just under 6 months I guess, but so I actually made these and have given them to my sister, or she is going to have them for her birthday, but she has seen them now. So this sock, the yarn is 3 Mums yarn, and they are local to me, Canberra Dyers, and they have an Etsy store. And then the heel is the leftover Madeline Tosh from this shawl here, and the toe again is some 3 Mums yarn. So I don't have my sock blockers here, but yeah, that's them. So I just did how did I do these? 2 at a time magic loop socks with I think I did a 64 count stitch count on 2.5mm needles. I just knit cuff down, then I did the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, which is a paid for pattern, and then I just finished off with just a rounded toe pattern that I think I got maybe in one of the Knitting Expat Designs patterns, but I'm not entirely sure how I found that pattern, but I use that one quite a lot for my toes, and I like it because it is it's got that nice rounded toe as opposed to like coming up and being real pointy with the Kitchener stitch. So yeah, that's those. My works in progress, I have 2. So the first one is actually, I've made a mistake and I need to go back and fix it, but I started making the Sizzle Pot by Leslie Ann Robinson, or Knit Graffiti, and my friend Emily, who is a Sydney knitter friend, she's helped me out, but I need to tinker back about 4 rows because I did something wrong with the decrease and I'm too scared to do it. But that's the right side, the wrong side, and this yarn is by Nanabar Yarns as well. Actually, it might be better if you can. Yeah, so it's not really much work done, but yeah, and I know where the mistake happened, and I think I know what I did, but I just have to go back a couple of rows, and I'm a little bit scared to pull my knitting out and do that. So but at the same time it's probably better than starting again. And then just so you can see the actual pattern. I have mentioned it before, and I did talk about it in my Make 9 video earlier this year. That's the pattern here. The sizzle pop. And I'm just knitting that using my Chow Goose in a size 3.5 millimeters. So it's what the pattern calls for, and yeah. My next thing is something I cast on as a bit of plain knitting about a week ago, and it's just a sock. Well, it's the cuff, the start of a little sock, and I am using Knit Picks Felici, and this colour is Seafaring, so that's it there. And honestly, I think I've done about 10 rows, so it's really not that much. And I'm keeping that one in my Totes A Go-Go bag that I bought last year in Sydney. And then I just have one more work in progress, which means this episode's probably going to be quite quick. And that is, I cast on my Weekender. So the Weekender is a pattern by Andrea Mowry of Dre Renee Knits. And so it's a bottom-up jumper, and I did about 3 or 4 gauge swatches. I can't remember, 3. And I didn't get gauge at all, so I just did the maths to make a smaller size. So I'm making the medium, which is enormous. So I probably could have knit, it's supposed to have 10 inches of positive ease. This is just positive ease coming out the wazoo. So I, sorry, excuse me. I've separated for the shoulders, and I've done the short rows. I probably shouldn't give too much away, it's a paper for pattern, but essentially with this pattern, it's this is the outside, so the stockinette section, but you knit it with the right side, sorry, the stockinette on the outside, and then once it's finished we'll turn it inside out. So yeah, I can't say I'm like loving the knit, but it has been quite good. And I'm, yeah, just at the ribbing across the front here on the first piece, and then I will have to repeat that again on the back side. But I don't think that's, it hasn't, yeah, been a difficult knit at all. The yarn I'm using is Bendigo Woolen Mills, and I've talked about this before in a previous episode. I got that gift voucher, I got a gift voucher from my mother-in-law. So it's their 10-ply luxury base or luxury wool, and the colorway was steel. And I think I bought 4 balls, they're 4 200-gram balls, about 300 meters, and I bought 4, and it was like $60 maybe for all of them, and I used a gift voucher, so it cost me $10 out of pocket, I think, for this jumper. And so I'm just towards the end of my second ball, but I reckon I can probably finish this top front bit, and then I may even get some of the back, the next part of the back, in the same out of the same lot. And also I have not taken out my swatches, and like I said, I did about 4 of those, so I will keep those and be right to use them if I need to on the rest of the jumper. So yeah, I was kind of hoping to have that further along by this time in the year, but my life has been ridiculously busy, and so it just really hasn't happened. But that's okay. It's not a, you know, it's not the be all and end all. It's a knitting project. So, you know, and life does get in the way, which has happened for me. So yeah, that's all I'm working on. I'm keeping project notes for everything on Ravelry, except maybe Sizzle Pop. I don't think I've started that yet. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. I have yarn that I purchased in Western Australia earlier this year, which I will hopefully, when I get back to Canberra, may do like another quick snapshot video to merge into this one. Yeah, and when we do that, I'll talk about the acquisitions that I made earlier, which if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen a few months ago. In terms of acquisition news, I did buy a few things recently. So on a D-stash, and if you're in Australia, on Ravelry, there's the, I think it's just like Australian Knitters page, and they have a D-stash. So I bought these 2 skeins of Lobby NMA yarn. So they're merino singles. This one is lipstick and this one is tickles, and I really like tickles. And I thought the 2 of them together would make a really nice sizzle pop, with that being the front colour and this being the back colour. So that was my original plan, actually, was to make the sizzle pop out of these yarns. Well, no, my original plan is to do the sizzle pop as it is. And I hadn't got these yet by the time my friend was helping me cast on. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I feel like they're a really good brio duo, so I will save them for a brioche project, maybe a shawl, or something else, but I really, really like them a lot. So yeah, it's really cool, and my first ever Lobby NME, and I bought it in a D-stash, so I think I paid $35 each skein, which is still steep, but if you look on her website, it's like €36, and then you do the currency conversion, and it's full on. So I'm hoping to get to Paris sometime this year, on a bit of a holiday, and if I do, of course I will visit and I will take some footage and share that with you. The next thing I got, or like the last thing really that I have to talk to you about, is these little bundles of mini skeins, and they're all really nicely wrapped up, so I don't know if I really want to undo them, but essentially I joined the Little Woolly Makes 3-month, I think it was the autumn yarn, Scrappy Striped Sock Club, and I bought these because I'm working on my cozy memory blanket. Well, I haven't been for a while, but I really wanted to work on that, and you know, I really like Julie and her shop, and I've been, you know, buying from Julie since she had a little studio garage in her home, so it's really lovely to be able to support one of my first ever local yarn shops since I've been knitting, or actually back then it was crochet. So you can see better, I'll just give you kind of a picture of what I got. So every month I got 12 mini skeins in varying colours, and so that one, sorry, the dye was Maximu Sock Yarn, then there was Ren and Ollie, and these are probably in the wrong order. Yeah. And then finally the Yarn Keeper, which I've never used before, so it's a 4-ply merino, and I really like these colours. They're kind of beautiful and muted, and really cool names as well. They're all really stunning in real life. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they were 10 grams each. So I have a nice little collection of mini skeins now, which is cool, and I'm just going to keep them until I get around to working on my cozy memory blanket, which will happen eventually. But yeah, so for now that's it kind of in what I've been making in acquisitions. I as you know, have been away for the last 4-ish months, actually closer to 5, and I work away from home a lot, and so this year is pretty much all year away. This is my 2 weeks in the middle, towards the end of my 2 weeks in the middle, and I'm heading back overseas next week, so that means I still don't know what's going to happen with the podcast, but I thought I would put out another episode and kind of let you know where I have been and what we've been doing. So I went to quite a few countries, and I, to be honest, didn't really look out for any yarn in the first couple. So we went to Sri Lanka, or Sri Lanka, is I think how it's properly pronounced, and India. Went to a few different places in India, and I did look for a yarn store in India, but there just wasn't any in the regions that I was visiting. Visiting makes it sound like a holiday. It wasn't a holiday, I was there for work. And then I also went to, after that we went to Thailand, and there was a yarn store in Thailand, but I was back at work, so I didn't see it, but my friend went and she did buy some yarn from there, so that looked pretty cool. The next place we went to was Singapore, and there was a couple of yarn stores there. So one was called the Golden Dragon, and it was kind of like a smaller version of Kmart or Lincraft. Like, I mean, by smaller, I mean tiny in comparison. But it had like, or maybe just like closer to a haberdasher. It had fabric and yarn and needlecraft and all that sort of stuff. So that was cool. I did buy some sparkly crochet yarn there actually. And my friend who I didn't really teach to crochet because I wasn't really in the mood and was trying to do my own thing. I showed, so we bought some yarn there for her. I bought some stuff, and then we went to another yarn store called Tiny Rabbit Hole, and it was the cutest. I have taken some footage, so maybe I mostly took photos, but I will have to go back and check, and I will insert that in here for us to have a look at. It was such a cute little shop. The lady was pretty helpful. They had lots of mostly crochet, amigurumi and that sort of stuff, but it was really cool to see. And I did buy a kit for a miniature unicorn, which I haven't actually had a chance to make yet, but it was really cute, so I wanted to support local, which is always kind of what I try to do when I go somewhere. The next place we went was to the Philippines, and there was no yarn stores where we were in particular. And then after that was to Guam, which is an American, well, it's in Micronesia, north of Australia, west of Asia, east of Asia, and it's just kind of an island in the middle of all that. And I didn't really get out much, and when I did, there wasn't really any yarn stores there. So the biggest yarn stores we found really was in Thailand and Singapore, which is pretty cool. So that didn't stop me. I did as much knitting and a bit of crochet. I actually do have another finished object, but I've gifted it already, so I'll pop a picture of that in here, and if you follow me on Instagram, you will have already seen it. She's pretty cute. So I made Bridget the elephant from the Edwards Menagerie book, which I have made the polar bear last year for another friend who's having a baby. So you may remember seeing that. That was really cool. I had to finish it off when I got back to Australia because I actually ran out of wool. But and then I went to visit my friend, which is like an hour and a half from where I'm staying with my family, and I forgot it, so I had to put it in the post, and it arrived yesterday, and she was really happy and thought it was pretty cool. So that like made me feel really awesome because she's a really special friend of mine, and I really enjoyed making that for her and her baby, who hasn't been born yet, but any day now hopefully will come into the world. I'm just trying to think, like, I really don't think there's anything else that I have to tell you about. I'm going back overseas for work, but this time I'll be more stable in a different country for 6 or so months. I've also enrolled in a subjective university, so I really don't know what my capacity for knitting is going to be, but I'm taking lots of projects with me. So I've just put together a small clip of some of the photos that I took, some mostly not yarn related, but so the countries that we visited I think I mentioned before, but the first ones will be of Sri Lanka, a few of India, then there'll be some Thailand, Singapore, and I think that was about it. I didn't really take many photos in the Philippines or Guam, but I hope you enjoy. There's a bit of music, but if you're only here for the knitting, there is a little bit, and there's a little bit of a few photos of the Tiny Rabbit Hole, so make sure you tune in to the end if you're interested. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Sunshine on my skin, I got myself packed in a suitcase. Everything I need is here and now. Look at how the colors dance around. I could give it all away for free, and it wouldn't even matter, 'cause all I need is la 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 la. Don't want anything but la 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 la. Come and let it rescue me. for free, and it wouldn't even matter. 'Cause all